What is a scam that everyone needs to be warned about? Story 1. Warning. Clever scam taking advantage of older men. Women often receive warnings about protecting themselves at the mall and in dark parking lots, etc. This is the first warning I've seen for men. I wanted to pass it on in case you haven't heard about it. This will only become more commonplace as the weather warms. A heads up for those men who may be regular Lowe's, Home Depot, or Costco customers. This one caught me by surprise. Over the last month, I became a victim of a clever scam while out shopping. Simply going out to get supplies has turned out to be quite traumatic. Don't be naive enough to think it couldn't happen to you or your friends. Here's how the scam works. Two seriously good-looking 20-something girls come over to your car as you're packing your shopping into the trunk. They both start wiping your windshield with a rag and Windex. With their breasts almost falling out of their skimpy t-shirts, it's impossible not to look. When you thank them and offer them a tip, they say no and instead ask you for a ride to McDonald's. You agree and then get into the back seat. On the way, they start undressing. Then one of them climbs over into the front seat and starts crawling all over you, while the other one steals your wallet. Had my wallet stolen November 4th, 9th, 10th, twice on the 15th, 17th, 20th, 24th, and 29th. Also December 1st and 4th, twice on the 8th, 16th, 23rd, 25th, and 28th. 3 times last Monday and very likely again this coming weekend. So tell your friends to be careful. What a horrible way to take advantage of older men. Warn your friends to be vigilant. Walmart has wallets on sale for $2.99 each. Found cheaper ones for $1.99 at Kmart and bought them out. Also, you will never get to eat at McDonald's. I've already lost 11 pounds just running back and forth to Lowe's, Home Depot, and Costco. Wow, what a sick and terrible world we live in nowadays. The fact people can just come up with this sick garbage and take advantage of other people like that is just horrendous. Thank you so much for sharing this information and your story. It was really brave of you. But you said Kmart had the cheap ones? Story 2. eBay scammers. When you sell something like an iPhone, computer, tablet, etc., anything worth a pretty penny, you will occasionally get a really high bid at the end of your auction. You'll then receive a follow-up email that appears to be a payment confirmation from eBay/PayPal. Never accept a payment email at face value. Always log into your PayPal account to verify you have received payment. What is happening is a scammer has created a new eBay account, usually only a couple weeks old with little to no buying or selling history, and is placing high bids on valuable items. After they win, they immediately send a fake payment email that looks legit, and sometimes is even more than the winning bid, but is carefully worded to say, payment will appear in your PayPal account after shipping tracking information has been confirmed. They're hoping that people will see the fake payment email and will ship their valuables unquestioningly. Do not send anything until you have logged into your account and can confirm the money has indeed been transferred. These types of scammers will often request you send your items very quickly, birthday present, anniversary gift, etc., to a different address from the one listed on their eBay account page. This is known as a proxy address. A proxy address is used by scammers who don't want to be traced directly. They will hire someone to accept packages and then redirect it to them after receiving them. Oftentimes, the proxy shipper has no idea who his/her clients are, or what he/she is sending. If this happens to you on eBay, report the user and repost the listing immediately. Make sure to also contact eBay, so that they do not charge you a listing fee twice for the failed auction. What happened to me was that I sold an iPhone for about $100 on eBay, and then I received the payment in my PayPal. Everything was legit. Then I sent the package, and when it arrived at the guy's house, he filed a complaint that said it was only an iPhone charger. I tried everything I could to prove that I actually sent the iPhone, but in the end, I had to fully refund the buyer. And to make it worse, he just sent me back a package with an iPhone charger. Not even the same one I sent to him. It was broken. Seriously, frick eBay. eBay used to be a really good place to sell stuff, but lately has just gotten so full of scammers, I just go to use some other seller. Like, yeah, it always has had some scammers, and the other places do too, but it has just gotten so unbearable since the last time I used them. Story 3. Freaking gypsies. I don't know how widespread this is across the world, or even the US, but it's been pretty big in the Midwestern US lately. Gypsy scams targeting the elderly. Someone will come to your door claiming to be something fairly innocent, or sometimes authoritative. Typically, it's, I just bought the property behind you and want to show you where I plan to build a fence. And then you'll walk out back with them, leaving your door unattended. Or sometimes I work for the electric company/water company/village, and I need to inspect your meter. At which point they'll sort of coerce or gently force their way in an assertive but overall non-threatening manner. The idea is to get you away from the entrance and divert your attention from the real crime that is going on. While you're distracted, another person runs inside, and typically runs upstairs to a bedroom and swipes as much jewelry, cash, or valuables as they can. They then radio or call the other person inside, who will abruptly leave, get in a car that is ready and waiting, and speed off. The victim usually doesn't even know what happened until hours later. Now that I typed this all out, the sad part is that they typically only target the elderly. They're just easier. So most of them won't see this because it's the internet, but do your parents/grandparents a favor and tell them about these situations. They are becoming increasingly common, and will typically move from one area to the next when the heat is on. Just because your area hasn't experienced anything like this doesn't mean that they can't start tomorrow. That's honestly so gross that people do that. Thankfully, my grandparents are smart enough to know if they didn't plan the appointment or anything, then don't let them inside. Sadly, most elderly people don't all think that, or they just assume they forgot because of their age. There's a special place in hell for people that take advantage of others in that kind of situation. Story 4. People whose car is stranded, and they ask to borrow your cell phone to call someone who doesn't pick up. Then they ask you for some cash for gas. Seems pretty obvious, but I've known international students who have fallen for it. So warn your international friends who might be too trusting and friendly stranded Americans. There's a man in downtown St. Paul, Minnesota, who had his 4-month-old daughter in the car and needed a few bucks for gas. For the past 4 to 5 years that I've lived in the area, hasn't changed a bit of his story. He will sometimes throw in that he has Skechers shoes on, because apparently it's supposed to signify that he's broke or something. There's a man in downtown Minneapolis, Minnesota, who came up to the Greyhound from Kansas City to visit his mother and needs $17 to stay at the shelter. He also has not changed his story in any way in the 4 to 5 years that I've lived in the area. He will call you a racist if you don't give him the money too, so that's fun. All I'm hearing is people in Minnesota really aren't creative at all. Like, at least put a little spin on it after a while. You want that money, don't you? Story 5. Locks of Love. They do not take donated hair and turn into free wigs for kids with cancer. They sell the hair, buy cheaper Asian hair, make very few wigs on a sliding scale for kids with permanent hair loss, burns alopecia, not cancer, and use the rest of the money for salaries and advertising. This is a valid business model, yes, but they make zero attempts at explaining to the public what they really do. They've gotten a little better lately. They wouldn't even open their books as a charity for years. I think they have now, but I've yet to see any attempt from them to explain even on their website. It's annoying to be constantly encouraged to donate hair to Locks of Love, knowing there are far better things one can do with it. People with long hair are regularly asked by strangers why they don't cut and donate. I could just sigh and move on, but no, I explain it every time because darn it, that's actually really sad to hear. I never knew that was going on. All those times my sister would have donated, I'm glad she didn't. I never knew they were so shady now or back then. Story 6. I live in a third world country, and a popular scam here preys on parents of kids. Scam goes like this. You get a call in the middle of the day when your kid should be in school, from someone pretending to work at a local hospital saying that your child was seriously hurt at school and needs immediate treatment. Unfortunately, they can't start treatment until someone pays, and there isn't enough time to get to the hospital to pay there. They either offer to send someone to the house who conveniently happens to be close by, dressed in a shirt from the hospital, either stolen or made to look identical, to pick up the money. You finally get to the hospital only to find out the trouble your kid is in involves long division and fractions. He is still in school, healthy as a horse. You are out $500, or whatever amount they ask for on the phone. Tends to work because often parents get into hysterics when they think their kids are hurt and trouble, and they're not thinking straight properly. Well, yeah, they think their child is on death's door. You have to be some sick type of evil to take advantage of a parent's love for their child like that. Story 7. Yelp.com. They basically use extortion on small businesses by making them pay for good reviews. To give an example, they are slow to act on reports of rigging. A friend of mine owns a shop. One of his employees left and started the exact same business down the street. Suddenly, he gets a spike in 1-star reviews about the conditions of his business. He reports to Yelp, they ignored him. His business went from over 304 5-star reviews to 100 reviews and a score of 2 stars. He knows that the other guy got his friends and families to rate him down, yet Yelp just ignores him. They will only look at it if he signs up for that business subscription or something. Dang, even Yelp is getting in on scams? I did not see that coming. Hopefully the guy's loyal customers will know it's not true, and will spread the word to keep going there. Story 8. If you are ever going to Las Vegas and taking a taxi from the airport, you need to know about the tunnel scam. Cab drivers scam unsuspecting tourists out of money by taking the tunnel, which is a longer way to get to every single place on the strip. It's called long hauling and it's absolutely widespread. There have been a ton of initiatives to stop it, but it absolutely persists. Tell the taxi driver no tunnel when you get in a taxi at the Las Vegas airport. They might get upset that you are accusing them of long hauling you, but it's the only way to make sure they don't do this. Seriously, I'd say the majority. Cab drivers in Vegas do this scam. I guess that's another reason not to go to Vegas. Mostly because I'll forget. Story 9. When a family member dies, credit card companies will oftentimes come to the survivors to try and collect on debts owed by the person who died. From my understanding, there is no legal obligation for the survivors to pay these. However, credit card companies know this and try anyways. If someone knows more about this than me, please correct me, but I'm pretty sure this is right. It sounds right. Most credit companies are pretty scummy, so I can definitely see most, if not all, try to pull something like this off. Story 10. You or someone you know might get a call from a Lake Police organization, stating a relative needs bail money and contacted you to get it. A lot of the time, they actually have said relatives' names. That's a scam. Oh, and paying the minimum payments on your credit card. You end up paying a ton more. I keep getting fake automated calls from the FET telling me my house has been broken into. I haven't had a house for over a year now. Scammers like that should really at least put a little effort into what they're doing and do a little research. Story 11. In Barcelona, usually 2 motorcyclists will puncture your tire at a set of traffic lights, before then posing as friendly locals who will help you jack up your car. Obviously, to access a spare tire though, they have to remove your cases from the boot, placing them on the footpath, midway through jacking up the car. One of the hustlers will either fake an injury or cause some other distraction, while his accomplice buggers off with your luggage. That's why everyone should know how to jack up their own car and replace their own tire, just so you can tell people you got it just in case. Also, saying boot instead of trunk it made me hurt inside. Story 12. Only 1% of the population requires a gluten-free diet. Everyone else is misinformed. Also textbooks. Every 2 or so years, a new version comes out with almost zero changes. Somehow the cost goes up by $50 and it is required by your teacher. How much can calculus change in a year? McGraw-Hill can go frick themselves. Want a scam? My Blank Lab is just a way to union bust and pay your teachers less, so your students can learn from a mediocre poop show of a website. I've been saying this for so long. There's absolutely no way that after just 1 year, everyone needs a new textbook on the same subject. Nothing changed that much. It's just a way to bring in more money. Story 13. The Microsoft scam is still quite common. Essentially, the target people, specifically in the older demographic, stating their PC is not secure and request remote access to files and leave keyloggers. I work in tech support, and the amount of people I hear about that were victims of the scam is incredibly high. When I used to work security for an energy company, I got one of these calls. When I told them that we had an IT team that would have reported any issues with their computers, and that it sounded like a scam, the guy started yelling at me. He put his supervisor on the phone and he told me to never call them again, even though they called me. I love watching videos on YouTube about these kinds of scams. They always get so angry after they're caught or if something doesn't go their way. It's hilarious. Story 14. Multi-level marketing scams. It seems like more and more people are being suckered into handing over thousands of dollars to these bottom-feeding poop stains. So many of my friends got sucked into Venmo. Makes sense. MLM companies target my age group, 18 to 25-ish, because we're freshly independent and have a tendency to not know what good and bad investments look like. Ugh, Venmo. I lost a friend over that thing. He was just so overbearing trying to convince me to drop $500 for this pyramid scam. He sounded like a cold god to him and wouldn't leave me alone for about 5 days before I finally stopped being polite and told him how naive he was. He was probably just mad because deep down he knew, but just didn't want to accept it. I knew someone like that once, and sometimes the truth is just too much for them. Story 15. There's a company called Interface in the New England area. They approach you in the mall and tell you how cute your child is, and try to set you up for an interview to have your kid be put in shows or advertisements. After the initial interview, you'll find they want $2,000 to have their photographer set up a shoot for a portfolio. Only catch is you don't receive any prints. The photos strictly go into an online database. And in the disclosure, they state they do not have to notify you if your child's picked a feature in something. Yeah, no thanks. Has anyone fallen for that? What's the point of doing it if they aren't going to notify you? Like seriously, has anyone fallen for that? Story 16. I live in the New York City area, and scammers will come door to door claiming to be representatives of the electric gas company, asking if you've received your rebate or something like that, and then ask you for your account number to see your last bill. It got so bad that eventually the scammers changed their line to, "We've heard there are a lot of company impersonators coming around. Just give us your account number and we'll make sure you haven't been charged." What a-holes. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more videos to come, or else this spider will be in your bed tonight.